girls do this as like a fun girls thing on a bachelorette party or a Vegas trip.
We didn't sin.
No.
We literally went and had
This wasn't a strip club. It's a performance.
The
We
whole
didn't see
thing.
a single ding dong. Like, it's fine.
No.
It's Sofia Franklyn. You are listening to Sofia with an F, and the F is for phenomenal.
I'm joined by the stars of The Secret Life of Mormon Wives, Demi and Jessi. You guys were the sinners of the group, yes or no?
Ooh, yeah, the fun ones.
We're the sinners.
best group.
Yeah, we're the sinners in general.
Right. I just needed to get that out of the way. I have so much stuff I want to ask you. I binged the entire series in literally 2 days. It was incredible.
Amazing.
How do you guys feel being like, you guys were already TikTok famous. Now you're like famous. How does it feel?
I don't feel like we are. It feels like a joke. Like I'm on my For You page seeing me and my friends, or like E-News, or I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah.
It's very weird.
It feels like a fever dream.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not like real. It hasn't sunk in. Like we were walking around Times Square last night, and these random guys, like 4 people came up to us last night in like the span of 10 minutes. And they were like, so sorry, I'm going to be that person. Can I get a picture? I'm like, with a Z-lister?
Are you
You're
sure?
in New York. Like they're just take your pick, you know?
Right.
But it's so weird. I'm like,
It feels
no.
crazy.
Especially because we've been on social media, and I've been in the social media space for almost 12 years. And so for
Wow.
me, I'm like, I've had people recognize me, you know, out at an airport or, you know, in Mexico. And so for me, I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, it's just because social media. Like it hasn't hit me yet that I'm like, no, the whole world has seen me
Right.
scream at Whitney.
That is the me we love.
Reality TV just seems so insane in that way because you're really putting your shit out there.
Yeah.
How do your husbands feel about it?
Mine's great. I mean, he's like down for anything usually. And we actually filmed a lot more than what was shown with our husbands. But the other husbands kind of, you know, took the cake and became the stars. But yeah, mine's just like, whatever. Like when the scene came on where I was like showing my vagina to the girls, he was like, wait, there were cameramen in there too. You realize? I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot.
He's like, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah, Brett is very chill and supportive. He's just been so sweet with the whole process.
Yeah.
It was definitely a hard decision to decide to do it.
Mm-hmm.
We were just like, okay, we've seen how this goes. We know how this can turn out. We know how things can be spun. And so it wasn't as easy of a decision as I feel like most of the other girls were like, let's freaking do it. But it took us a while to be like on the same page with that. I remember, I don't even think I told you this, but like a week before, he was out.
No.
Yeah. Like he was like,
don't do the show.
yeah, he was like, I
Oh.
don't know. I'm feeling sick about it. I don't know what to do. It wasn't until like a few days before we had to like tell them that he was like, okay, I finally feel like good about it.
Wow.
So it was quite the process.
Well, it's hard
roller
because you don't know what
coaster.
you're getting into. So I think it's like
Exactly.
the uncertainty that probably made him nervous too. But
Right.
now he's married to the fan favorite, so he's probably like, yes.
That can shift though. It makes
It's
me
true,
nervous.
yeah.
I'm like, I'm telling everyone, they're like, how does it feel? And I'm like, I'm trying to not let it even like be a thing.
Yeah.
Because next season I could totally be the person that's hated the most.
Yeah.
And then what? My self-worth is based on the hype of
Right.
the high.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to just be like, cool, like grateful, awesome, take the opportunities as they come, but it's all so fleeting and can be flash in a pan. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's so smart. Like once you start letting kind of the external validation and voices like be your sense of self-worth, you're you know.
Yeah, it's so true.
It's like the highs are high and the lows are low.
Yeah.
Speaking of good edit versus bad edit,
Hmm.
I'm going to jump into all the things you guys obviously, but Whitney made a comment that she just got a bad edit.
I don't agree with that. And I always tell the girls like I'm heartless, but the way that the show I'm like, I'm a
she
bitch.
is.
I am. The way that the show portrayed everyone was very real to my experience, in my opinion. I feel like everyone was portrayed accurately. What do you think though?
when it comes to Whitney, yes. Yeah, I think that she was portrayed accurately, and I think that she made a lot of the decisions that led to a lot of the fallout that happened. It's a TV show. There's things
I
that
mean,
are
I guess
edited
the
and
edit
produced,
with
but
like the toilet paper on her foot was like them
Yeah,
doing
like
her
the-
dirty.
no, like there were moments.
Remember
Yes.
that? Wasn't that like the last episode?
It was like on our Park City trip, and we didn't even see that in real life. I never noticed that toilet paper.
No.
So wait, is that when she brings out a cake?
Yes, and there's like toilet paper, and they
Nice.
zoom in, and I was like,
Oh, that's so
remember
dirty.
that.
so
That's
yeah,
so
as far as
dirty.
stuff like that goes, maybe, but
Yeah, no, literally the comments that of people being like, man, even the camera crew hated her. I'm like, oh,
which is
like
funny though,
that
because
kind
we
of
felt like
stuff.
she was the favorite to the crew.
Yeah.
Oh, to the crew.
Yes,
the
we
crew,
thought she was getting
producers.
favored. So seeing it back, we were like, oh,
Yeah,
Interesting.
that was shocking to me. But
Yeah.
they, you know, as far as like the entertainment space and show goes, like they really leaned into villain. I feel like she's just like so confused with herself.
Yeah.
She's trying to navigate the Connor situation,
yeah.
trying to find her place, and also she struggles with friendship. And so to me, I give a little bit more grace as like a human. I'm like, if that were my daughter.
Which is so funny because you
Yeah.
went the hardest at her on the show. You're
Well, I
like,
know, I was gonna
I'm
say.
gonna call out the like
Yeah.
I'm gonna call you out.
You're like a tough love.
Exactly. But
person.
my heart is so big that I'm like,
yeah.
damn. Like I would call my daughter out. I'd be like, no, we're not gonna do that. But also I love you to death. And so
Yeah.
it's like it's hard because I really do have a genuine friendship with Whitney, and I did have a genuine friendship with her, and like I was all in on our friendship. And so the things that kind of came to be, it was sucky.
Yeah.
For sure. Like the moments where I was like, ooh, are we really friends? Like that actually genuinely sucked.
Yeah.
Because I love hard.
Yeah. And I think if Whitney came to us and just like was authentic and raw, like I am struggling, I'm sorry for what I did wrong, we'd all forgive her in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just that hasn't happened, that I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I know.
There was like that one scene where it was like really the only glimpse to her being vulnerable is when she starts crying. I think
Yeah.
is it Park City again?
Probably.
Park City
yeah.
was wild.
It
for
was.
you guys.
That felt surreal to us living it.
Was
Yeah,
it like,
felt like a week.
so? Was it like traumatic? Like what the fuck is happening?
I almost went home. Like
Really?
oh,
Yeah,
I
that first
started
night.
bawling, and I called Brett, and I was like, I think I need you to come pick me up.
Yeah.
Like
Mm.
it was a hard night. Like they showed a clip of me getting obliterated at
It was like
Toothbox.
3 hours.
It was
3 hours.
Oh, and it
Mhm.
was me and Taylor going at it for majority of that. The things that were being like
Yeah.
thrown. And then this was the icing on the cake, was the moment that Whitney looked at me and goes, I think Demi's my least favorite. After watching all the go down, I was like,
that is a wild thing to say
Yeah.
in front of you to your face.
yeah. Oh, I remember, and this wasn't shown in the storyline, but my mom had just got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer.
Yeah.
And so it was that week. I'm already feeling heightened. I already didn't want to be there. This all goes down. And then Whitney looks me in the eyes and goes, I think it's Demi. And right then I get a text, and it didn't show this, but I like picked up my phone. My mom was calling me. And the
God.
tears that I
Her
was like,
eyes were so red. I was just looking at her and I was just like,
oh, yeah. I've never had that much like control over
Yeah.
my emotions. But then I went upstairs and lost it. And I just started bawling and almost went home. It was hard.
yeah.
That I'm so sorry to hear that. That sounds extremely difficult. I wouldn't be able to like stop myself. But I
I'm
guess if
shocked
there's
you
a bunch
did.
of cameras, I might
Yeah.
be like gripping and be like, nope, I'm not gonna let the tears fly. But Whitney also, and this is not just a hate on Whitney thing. I'm just like picking apart a couple of things that I noticed.
Yeah.
Her leaving the group chat,
Yeah.
saying she needed a break from everybody, but then getting really upset that no one called her
Yeah.
to check in on her. Is that like, were you guys kind of confused by that? Or like, what are you
Yes,
talking about?
It's clinically insane.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's crazy. Like,
No, it's
to-
wild.
It
It's
is.
wild.
The logic is, it's not logicking. It doesn't make sense at all. You can't want someone to chase you, but willingly leave their life. Like, it's just behavior that's not normal.
Well, I've seen her online even now being like, well, I was setting boundaries. That's healthy. And it's like, okay, if that's what you were doing, great. But you can't set a boundary and then get mad when people don't check on you, right? So
Yes,
that's not setting a
exactly.
boundary.
She doesn't know what a boundary is. That's the
Yes.
problem, is she thinks she's setting these firm boundaries, but it's like boundaries are something that you're going to do, Whitney.
Mm.
So she sets a boundary and then she expects us to act accordingly. That's not a boundary.
Which I
Right.
think if she had sent a text in the group being like, hey guys, this has been a lot. I think I'm going to leave the chat. chat because I need space, but like I'll come back around when I'm ready. We would have understood and been like, love you.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a great point.
Yeah, but it was a
just
test.
leaving without saying anything is kind of trying
It
to
felt like
prove
a fuck
point.
you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
bye. And so
Yeah.
we were like, what are we supposed to do now?
Yeah.
She doesn't want to talk to us.
Well, then she expects us to read her mind and expect to
Yeah.
know how
Yeah.
to act. And it's like, that's not our job.
No.
Yeah.
No. We're grown now.
Yes.
Now we just say how we feel and express like what we want.
Mm-hmm.
Was there always this much drama? Or did the show like heighten the out of it?
Do you know what's funny is I feel like going into the show, we all thought the swinging and the arrest that Taylor had was going to be the dramatic storyline.
That was like
that was one episode done, and then it was our lives that were way more dramatic. So I was not expecting that, but I think even now there's drama in the group. Like it's just there's 8 women, and everyone's kind of competing for that spotlight, and
Mhm.
especially now. So I think it's always going to be that way a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you involve the husbands and relationship dynamics. But I mean, I feel like when you're filming, though, emotions are raw and they're heightened
Yep.
because you're put in situations where you have to confront things and talk about things you normally wouldn't. So
Mhm.
maybe that's why.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, Park City, like, you guys have cameras probably like around the clock nonstop.
Yes. Yeah.
And then it's 8 girls. Like,
Yeah, it's a
under
lot.
those circumstances in close quarters, it's gonna get dramatic as
Yes.
hell
Sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
to me. The Fruity
Oh,
Pebbles
no.
shame thing. By the way, my podcast, like for the first 2 years, was me only talking about sex. So it's like
So we're in a safe
open-
place.
We're in
Yeah.
a very safe place. So Whitney made the cake. You got upset.
Oh, it was a present.
Oh, it was a present. Excuse me.
Yes,
And
the
then you
cake
opened
was
the
her
box.
gender
Where's her
reveal
pea
with a pea stick in it.
Those were 2 wild things she
That
did.
was. Did she do that on purpose?
The cake or the
The,
Fruity
the
Pebbles?
pea stick.
I think she literally didn't think that was gross. I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah, she didn't. She said she didn't think that through, but that's the first thing I would be thinking of.
Uh-huh.
I'm
We have
confused
so
by
many
that.
germaphobes on our cast. I can't imagine how
Oh.
you and Macy felt watching that.
I was
Put a
sick.
fake pregnancy test.
No, right?
Yeah.
Or like the
Draw it
sonogram
on.
photo. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
So crazy.
Yes.
That's what I thought it was going to be. So I was shocked when I saw the pea stick. I was like,
No, I thought it was
no.
a joke at first too.
It's so on
Yeah.
brand for her.
It
though.
is so on brand.
She did that to herself.
Yeah.
Like they did her dirty in certain moments, but that's all on you, Whitney.
yeah.
There's
the pea
nothing-
stick in the cake. Yeah.
Yeah, so she brought a present and it had the Fruity Pebbles in the present.
Okay.
And it was just like a big bag of Fruity Pebbles like poured into this box.
What do you think her intention was? Because
Let's talk about intention.
That was Demi's favorite word of the season.
was
Intention.
it?
Oh, I said it probably 800 times.
Isn't that funny though? Like no one else would notice.
No.
I know. Missed
Right?
opportunity, honestly, with editing. There's
Yeah.
a few moments
could
where
have
I'm
been a
like, why
drinking
didn't I
game."
edit this?
Yeah.
I could have really amped this up.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think honestly to just be funny. I don't
Okay.
think she thought it through. It's kind of like the birthday cake thing,
Yeah.
where it's like you
Right.
just didn't really completely think it through, and I think that gets her into a lot of trouble.
It would have been fine if it had been just us girls having a girls' night, but Demi's like sister was there and like a bunch of friends and cameras. It just felt a little like
cameras is like
Yeah,
key
exactly.
word.
Yes.
Cameras,
The whole
like-
world.
The whole world.
Yeah, the whole world.
Yeah.
I would say you probably were ultimately the most outspoken of the group. Your age
Why
gap.
would you say that?
so strange.
That sounds judgmental.
I don't know, it's-
Demi's really shy, actually.
Yeah, right?
I actually am. That's what's shocking.
No,
are
you're
you?
not.
Yes, I'm an extroverted introvert.
True. I actually didn't see that side of you till Park City,
Yes,
and I
she
was shocked. But then now I feel like I've seen it.
Well, when I'm like in an intimate setting,
Yeah.
you'll see it. But when I'm in a room, I've gotten much better. But ask anyone. Like all
Yeah.
growing up, everyone's like, "Oh, can she talk?" Like
She's really come into her own now.
Yeah, yes. It's like Maud. I take a while to warm up, and then once I warm up,
True.
I'm like,
You're in that
"Woo!"
Yeah.
bitch.
Yes, yes.
Also, you were outspoken, but you were never like malicious or like really mean.
Thank
you know?
Thank you.
I always
like
tell
standing
her
up for you.
her
I'm like,
strong suit
she's
is
a
that
nice
she
girl.
adds humor into her arguments. So like you can't
Yeah.
hate her because then she's like, wee, like in the middle of yelling at you, you know?
I listen, at the end of the day, like if you know me truly, my intentions are so pure and I have the biggest heart. It's a blessing and a curse. And I love freaking hard.
Yep.
And with that comes moments of just heated moments.
Yep.
And I feel very strongly when I'm really hurt. I feel that very strong. And when I'm obsessed with you, like you'll feel that very strong. But yeah, I'm never malicious. I'm never genuinely trying to hurt your feelings. If I do, like I'm sick about it to like literally make myself physically ill, and I'm like trying to make it right.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Even with Whitney, you had sent her like a huge apology right after the trip.
yeah,
Like you did feel really badly.
yeah, and I'm sad because they didn't show.
They didn't show that, right?
They didn't
No.
show. We met
Well,
up
that
and
wasn't
had
even
a
on camera.
no.
Oh, you
We
guys
had an
did.
on-camera conversation
Yeah.
that was really good actually. But then she unfollowed me again. So
Oh.
maybe that's why they didn't show it,
Yeah.
because it wouldn't have really made sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had like a really good heart-to-heart conversation. We're both crying, end up hugging. Everything's great. I'm like, okay, great, clean slate. And then she unfollowed me again. So
You're like,
it's a mystery.
Were we both there when we had that
Yeah.
conversation?
it's the gaslighting for me.
Yeah.
It's confusing. It's a roller coaster I'm not really interested on being on. I'll be cordial always, and I feel, bad for my participation. I do feel bad for exposing, what she told me in confidence.
What about the TikTok?
About the TikTok, yeah. And that's not like me to expose those types of things. It was more in the moment of Macy trying to defend her intentions, and I was like, well, she's told me what her intentions are, and also me feeling like Macy was so blind to a lot of Whitney's behavior, and so I felt like that would kind of like wake her up a little bit.
Do you know what was shocking to me on the show? Whitney admitted, I regret doing the RSV TikTok because of the outcome. That's what she said.
I noticed
And I was like,
that.
oh,
I
no,
noticed that. And
you should regret it because of the
intention.
because of what it was.
Right.
But she got hate, and that's why she regrets it. And she admitted that. So I was like, ooh, that wasn't a great look.
No.
Ooh,
That stood out to me too. And I
Yeah.
was like,
It was telling.
Also, whatever you revealed on the show was something she told you, but I'm confused why she put it out there knowing that, I mean, she wanted sympathy, right? But did she also kind of know she was going to get a shit ton of backlash?
I don't think she did, and that's where I do give her grace, because I said it on the show, and I will die on this hill. If you were in the beginning stages of TikTok, it was wild, wild west. It was like put out the most heinous videos, like the things that people were putting up. I'm like, is this legal?
Yeah.
Like it's insane, because you were just like, it was popping off.
Right. And
Yeah.
anything goes.
And dancing was a
Yeah.
big thing. And
Yeah. Well, and if it was the more controversial, the more views, the more likes, you could grow your page from 0 to 300K overnight if you posted the right video.
yeah.
And so in her defense, I do remember myself even posting videos that I like went back later and deleted, because I was like,
I know, I was going to
Dude,
ask,
you're
did
crazy.
you guys go back and like delete shit when you knew you were going to be on the show?
Oh, I probably should have.
you're like, I'm going to go do that right
yeah,
now.
maybe after this.
Yeah, but it was just the type of, it was such a weird time. And so one of those things where I'm like, you didn't completely think it through, but it does make me nervous knowing that I didn't catch that when she said regretted it because of
the
the
outcome.
the backlash. I'm like, okay, that's telling. Like if that were me and I did something without thinking it through, or just threw it up to see if it stuck, I would be owning that. And that's
Yes.
where she, in my opinion, fails.
Well, and I think that's why Taylor wasn't the villain, even though people expected her to be, is because she owns her shit.
Yep.
She says, I made a mistake. I'm a work in progress. If Whitney did that, I
it
think
would be so different.
we would all have so much sympathy. Like I heard someone say this the other day, that if Whitney in that moment had said, remember when I asked Whitney, like, are you jealous of Taylor's clout? And she was like, no. If she had
was
just
so
been
good,
honest
too.
and been like, I am, and I'm threatened, and I'm insecure, you guys, and I'm struggling, we would have just surrounded her with love.
Yep.
Totally.
We wouldn't have like attacked, you know?
Yes.
So if she just would like drop the wall and be like genuine, I think we could all benefit from that.
For sure. And she could.
Yeah.
She could. I totally agree. It's very defensive and just complete lack of ownership.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why that is, but
Yeah.
I totally agree. So you guys are not really talking to Whitney.
Not really.
Has she followed you guys back or no?
So she did
Oh.
follow us all back.
Wait, we should look after this, because she might have unfollowed us after.
I'm going to be honest, I unfollowed her first. And it said follow back
Oh.
after I unfollowed her. And I was like, oh, she's still following me. But she probably has now.
Okay. So
But she-
you're done with her.
This is my thing. After the show aired, I think she was definitely hurt. And obviously we've all been doing podcasts. Like, I get it. Like, as a human being, it would really suck to hear these things. But she's leaned in really hard online right now being the villain. Like, her whole, like, did you see her video where she's like hanging out the car? Like, it was very Joker-esque. I was like, what
I have
is
chills
happening?
thinking about it.
I'm
That was
scared.
crazy.
So those things I'm like,
Why?
and she's like alluding to like, you guys don't know the real story, coming soon. Like,
Right.
stuff that we're like, what is happening? So for me, I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah,
also
yeah.
scary. Like, what do you mean the
Yeah.
story's gonna come out?
Because
Like-
I don't know what she's talking about.
Yeah.
So
No, none of us know. There was
No.
a comment that was made to Michaela. She like responded to Michaela and she was like, at least I tell the truth. Hint, the baby shower. I'm like, is this
Baby
a
blessing.
Oh yeah, baby blessing. She's like, are we all okay? Like,
what are you talking
we've all spent a week of our lives trying to piece that together. And
We
I
don't
think that's her
know.
plan. She's like, if I can distract them, I can get ahead.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you've succeeded because none of us know what you're
Right.
talking about.
You guys have like a bulletin board up.
Yes,
with,
yeah, like the
the
string
strings
and
are
yeah.
like
Connor,
okay.
Sedona.
baby blessing. Start from the top. Who was
Liam.
there?
This is my hope though. If we do get another season, I hope she comes back because I will say there's something to be said about pregnancy hormones. It can make you psychotic and crazy.
True.
Very
I wanted
true.
to die when I was pregnant. So
But
I get
we
it.
also have known her not pregnant.
Yeah.
But
she's the
And
same.
there's been a little.
But I have never not known her like postpartum. But let's also go back to like, I went to high school with her. I have tons of people flooding my DMs,
Yeah.
multiple people flooding my DMs, I should say, not tons, talking about her in high school. And I don't want to hold you to a high school standard, but a lot of the patterns have not changed since.
Yep.
And so I'm like, we got to be careful with also, you know, just completely being like, oh, it's the pregnancy, it's
Yeah.
the hormones.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
there's a pattern.
But you know what? Taylor has said a lot that she had her arrest and she's like, that was like my rock bottom where I needed to like evaluate my life and turn around and change. And if you see Taylor episode 1 to the rest of the season, she's a different person.
She was callous.
Maybe Whitney needed this to happen for her to maybe evaluate some behavior and turn around and change.
True.
I'm being optimistic here, but
That is the nicest
was-
thing
I was
you've ever
just
said
gonna
in
do
my
I have a
life.
heart?
You're growing.
Oh my
I
God.
think you just sprouted a little heart.
Your heart grew 3 sizes today.
I'm not the Grinch. But that's what I hope for is that we can come back and like hopefully get to that point. And
Yeah.
then Demi's the villain next. Just kidding.
She keeps like putting that out there. Like,
Yo, you said that earlier.
It's good though. It's good. So if
know.
it does happen,
Yeah.
you're prepared. You're ready to
Yes.
go. No.
I'm ready for it.
But I totally agree. I think sometimes it takes something very drastic, like watching yourself back
Yes.
on television to make real change, you
Yeah.
know?
Totally.
The trip to Vegas,
Oh yeah.
Chippendales, which
Painted
Ooh.
perfectly because there's so much that wasn't shown.
Oh my gosh.
wait, what do you mean?
Just like that whole night in general. Like,
I'm talking about with you, what was going on with your body.
oh. Yeah,
I just want to hook up with a Chippendales.
I was
for real.
probably high that
Jessi did.
whole episode because I was on painkillers. Like I had just gotten surgery 3 days before. So I was loving life.
Full vagina, chopped up, sewn up, boobs.
Oh, I forgot about it. Was
Oh,
3
right.
days later. Yeah.
And
Stop.
opportunity missed. They didn't show you on the throne. I'm like,
The throne?
the throne when you were up.
Oh, I
she's
got
like,
called
don't
up on
even remember
stage.
that. Yeah.
And I had like my arms up like this. And the next day my doctor saw that because I had posted a video online. He was like, yeah, no. I was like, oh, whoops.
Wait, that is hilarious.
So
So
that is so like it perfectly describes Jessi in a nutshell.
Yeah.
I
Vagina
love that
chopped
shit.
off in Vegas on
Right.
stage.
on the throne, high as shit, like
Yes.
barely knows what's going on.
So
was
her.
great.
I'm like, you have to
I
tell
just
the
rally.
world that.
Puke and rally. That's my motto.
You can rally. I fucking love that.
Literally.
Did you at all feel responsible for Jen's situation?
I did actually. And I felt bad because in my head, I always say, like, I live in a different reality because I'm not.
Well,
like,
and you were in a different reality.
Yeah,
'cause you were
I
high
was
as
high.
fuck.
Yeah, that was. I'm gonna blame it on the Percocet. There you go. I live in a different reality in the sense of like I'm not active Mormon, so in my head, like I'm not thinking of what my husband would say or my family because they don't live the way Jen's in-laws do or her husband. And I've been to this show with my mom. Macy's been with her mom. So I just thought it was like fun, playful. When you go to this show, like there's like old ladies in the audience. Like for women, it's not so much that we're going to shows like this to get like turned on. Like, oh my gosh.
No.
It's like fun with your girlfriends and half the men are gay. And like we
Yeah.
knew that. Like they told us that backstage. So in my head, it was just fun. And I could be speaking out of turn and I'd have to actually ask Jen and Taylor this, but I feel like if they weren't with their partners they're with, they would have been totally down.
For sure.
Taylor used to be a swinger.
100%.
Yeah.
You know, she would have been totally down. Jen, if she
100%.
wasn't married to Zach, is the one that's always like, let's go clubbing. She's wild and sober, but like wild.
Yeah.
So in my head, I just know those girls and I was like, this is going to be fun. Had no idea what was going to transpire, but I mean, it gave us good TV, so I guess I don't regret it.
You're like, also, I booked.
Like, it worked out for me.
Yeah.
Right. Do they think, and by they I mean their husbands, think that it's like the equivalent of a dude going to a strip club?
Yes, and
like,
that's
is
what
that
I mean.
the issue? Because it's not.
Because
a lot of guys
obviously-
do.
Yeah. I think if our husbands were going to strip clubs and like rubbing strippers down in the back, like, of course it's a double standard, but it probably would be different.
But I think it's a double standard in the sense that, like, it's a double standard, but it's not one that's fair because
Yeah.
we're wired so differently.
it's
Yes,
biological.
yes.
Yeah.
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 Like the wind blows and they get a boner. Like women are not like that,
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
know? So
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
different. So yeah, that would bother me actually.
Well, even like Demi being on
They
stage
went to
and the
the
guy
strip
grabbed her hands and put it on his ass. Like she sent that video to Brett right after and he was like, ha, like,
Yeah.
because he trusts her and he knows her. You know?
Yeah.
Trusts her and also understands like more so what it is.
Exactly.
Also, if my boyfriend / husband went to the strip club just with a group of friends, I wouldn't be upset at
okay,
that.
thank you. You're just like me.
Okay.
My husband's
You're
been to
just
strip
like
clubs
me.
in Mexico, like with friends, and I'm like, eh.
If I hear
So
they're
bad.
going to a back room and like
That's
then,
different.
then it's a little bit
Yeah.
different, but it's I don't know.
Yeah.
What
Well,
if
also,
Demi's like
I have a
silent?
different opinion about it just because I think we are biologically like wired differently. And
Yeah,
I think
true.
I was talking to Jordan the other day and he was talking about the whole you play with fire, you're going to get burned. In my opinion, that's something where you play with fire long enough, you're going to get burned. Biologically, like they're designed to be visually stimulated.
True
Yes.
that.
And
Yeah.
so,
Yes.
in my opinion, that to me is like, call it a double standard, call it what it is. It is what it is. Like,
It's
men
biology.
look at a
Yeah.
naked woman, they're going to get aroused by that. And then that's going to turn to another thing potentially. And so, for me, I go, no,
Yeah.
that's off the table. But I'm not that way. Like, we're not as visually stimulated as men. So, it's
Yeah.
different for me.
Yeah, girls do this as like a fun girls thing on a bachelorette
Yeah.
party or a Vegas trip.
Yeah,
right?
I had people in my ward coming up to me and being like, I cannot believe the men's response to that. Like, I was
Yes.
literally just there
Going
last
that
week
wild.
with
'Cause
my
here's the
girls in the
thing.
ward.
If Dakota and Zach had been like, hey, I just don't want you there, and they left, we would not have like been mad about that. It was the way they reacted and the hypocrisy for me with Zach gambling while also having the nerve to say this.
Right.
Yes.
Which are both against the church. So it's like, you sin differently than I do, Jen, so you're bad. That's
Yeah.
what I didn't love.
Yeah. But like we didn't sin.
No.
We literally
No.
went and had
This wasn't a strip club. It's a performance.
It's
Yeah.
I love, but it's true.
It
Yeah,
is.
that's
Like
straight up
Backstreet
true.
Boys performances, majority of that. They showed such small clips of that. And like
Yeah.
majority of it is just like Backstreet Boys performances.
Yeah.
Like totally innocent. So
Yeah.
it's just crazy. The
we
whole
didn't see
thing.
a single ding dong. Like, it's fine.
No.
Right.
And we wouldn't have wanted to.
No. They were covered.
Yeah.
Zach's response was pretty insane.
Yeah.
I got the vibe that he was trying to kind of just bring up and make something a huge deal to like detract from him gambling.
He probably lost the money and was like, shit.
that's what I was thinking. I mean, on
Yeah.
top of, some
Yeah.
seriously not okay behavior. How do you guys feel about how you went to Jen and talked to her about the situation?
I have no regrets because I do feel like in that moment around the fire pit, me and Demi were the only ones willing to kind of like speak up. Like all the girls said things, but then as soon as like they kind of realized Jen was shutting down, I think they backed off, which I get. But for me, I was triggered because I've been in a marriage like that.
Yeah.
And I've told Jen, like my ex-in-laws, my ex-husband reminds me so much of her situation. And I can just see the writing on the wall. And that Vegas situation was not the first time we've seen this. Like that was the 10th time. So
I was gonna
people
ask
saying we
that.
attacked her on camera, it was like, no, like this was because we've seen the pattern and she's confided in us and we've been aware. So
Mhm.
I think as a good friend, you should tell your friends, like, this isn't normal. You deserve better. And we did it out of love for Jen. It wasn't just like, ooh, let's pile on her. Out of my perspective,
No.
like, we were being good friends, I thought.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
what do you think?
Yeah, zero regrets. I feel like the conversation needed to happen.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it's something that I've had so many people message me about, being like, you dominated that. Like, what you said was so a lot of members of the church being like, that needed to be said. And like, she needed to hear that. And a lot of times, like, we get into this, what's it called? You're in the situation.
Mhm.
And sometimes you need to be able to take yourself out of it to really see it. And I think that was one of those moments. You can see it all over her face.
Yeah.
As we're talking, it's one of those moments where she's kind of taking herself out of this situation and able to see it from a bird's eye view.
Okay, you know what's funny? I was watching and I felt Jen does this thing where, like, when we're talking, she'll be like this and she'll like squint at you. And in person, I thought, yeah, she's listening to us. Watching the show back, I'm like, is she disassociating? That's what I wondered. And I was like, is she listening to us? But maybe it's, I don't know which one it is.
Right. You're like so intuitive. You're like watching it back and pick up on
you
a lot
never
of
get to
things.
watch your life back until you're on TV. And so I'm seeing it from a different perspective
I
where
could
I'm like,
see that. But I also remember feeling kind of a shift in her.
oh, okay, good.
And it was when she started crying.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, damn. Like, but then also was like, damn, I hope that really hit your core.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when we brought up
see
her
it.
kids, like, I was like, do you want your kids to learn that this is okay? And she was like, no. And I'm like, well, they
Yeah.
learn the behavior in the home.
Yep.
So
I'm so glad you said that.
yeah. And,
was really good.
I will say there's been a shift in Jen. Obviously, they're still working through things, but like, she has started to stand up for herself and like
Mhm.
I love
become
to hear
that
that.
strong woman. So
So that wasn't like the first time you guys had witnessed that behavior or have spoken to her about
no.
No.
it. Okay.
There were like plenty of scenes she showed up to, like crying because they had gotten in an argument. and
Right.
we had been aware of it. So I think also the reason we were all felt that we had a right to speak on it on camera was because he brought all of our relationships into it by what he said.
Mhm.
So then we were like, oh, it's
Mhm.
free game.
Yeah.
What did he say again? I remember he said
He was like divorced and married to a 50-year-old. Why would you take advice from her?
Yeah. That's the worst thing in the
Yeah.
whole world.
Like, oh damn.
Like, no, a mature king. Like, that's what we all need.
Right, which-
And then for me, he said I cheated on my ex-husband, which I was, wait, what?
Is
Which
that
is-
true?
that's
Is
beyond
that
fucked up.
true?
Yeah, is it true? In season 2. We'll see. Just kidding. But no, I'm like, first of all, that means that, because we all have Reddit rumors about us. I'm like, okay, are you a troll on Reddit? What?
Yeah.
And you didn't know me back then. So
no, but also what does that have to do with his relationship with
it was
Jen?
deflection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, like
Yeah.
another form of deflection.
Well, and when you're like in a relationship like that, they tend to pull you away from the voices of reason.
they try to isolate you.
They isolate you. So he was saying, like, you shouldn't listen to these people because X, Y, and Z, because he knew we were speaking truth.
Yeah.
Was he like cool with being on the show or with Jen being on the show? Do you guys know?
Originally, I remember
Yeah.
thinking in the beginning that they were going to be one of the strongest couples.
Me too.
Isn't that insane?
Yes.
What a bad read by me.
That was the only time you've ever been
I
wrong.
know. I'm like, that's the first time in my life
But it's
that I have ever been
because
wrong.
They present it that way. And I think when you go
Yeah.
into reality TV, you don't realize that if you have skeletons, they're going to come out.
Yeah.
And I think as filming progressed, we saw that happen. And to be fair, I don't think he knew his texts were going to get exposed. I don't think he thought that was all going to be on camera.
Yeah.
I don't know if he even realized Jen was crying on camera on his phone call. Like, we don't know how much he thought was going to be in it.
Yet you're filming a reality TV show, and that's just insane to
Yeah.
me that you're not going to assume that everyone's out. That just goes to show how authentic it was, though. He
Yes.
couldn't even control it. Like,
Yeah.
he couldn't even
Yeah.
for 1 minute get a hold of his emotions and be like, this is being filmed. This
I'll
is
talk
going to
about
look
this
bad.
later
We'll
with
talk
you."
about this later.
Yeah.
Like, it had to come out, which is like,
Yeah.
Very
woof.
telling.
Yeah.
Very,
Yes.
very telling.
Yeah.
Jessi, the labiaplasty.
Yes.
Let's talk about it. If you want to show me your vagina.
Here, let me just pull my pants down.
So you said something about getting your meat curtains done, which is hilarious to me. I always talk about how I have a wizard sleeve. Like
Wait, what does that mean?
One little labia is just a tiny bit hanging down.
So you need one.
So I think I need
So
one.
come to Utah.
a
you know,
wizard sleeve?
That's so funny.
Where?
What's-
Oh,
what's
like
the
a
wi-
sleeve.
Yes.
I was like, sleeve. I was thinking of a
Just
cape.
one labia kind of just dropping down a little
And you
bit.
haven't had kids yet.
No.
That's crazy because I feel like after
So-
kids is what happened.
But So you basically were just going for a hot dog and a bun.
Yes.
Did you get any?
Yes.
Yes.
That was my inspo.
Exactly.
That was my inspo.
I took in just like a hot dog bun. I'm like, make me look like this.
A hot dog in a bun, not hot dog bun. Like that's.
I mean, both. I mean,
Both,
a
yeah.
hot dog, or hot dog bun first, then
Then the hot dog, yeah.
Did you get any backlash for that? Like, did you get any women being like
Not at
body
all.
shaming, vagina shaming?
Well, I will say I've gotten a lot of messages of people being like, thank you for sharing your labiaplasty. I've been wanting one. Like, can you give me like the tea on how it feels? So no, not with that. But I think bringing up plastic surgery in general, I've gotten messages and comments of people just being like, you guys are so fake. You look 55. Like,
People
stop getting
love
surgery.
to run to that one on
They
the
do.
internet. It's like their favorite.
Everyone
thing.
says I look like Demi's mom. I'm like, thank you.
She called me the other day. She's like,
Compliment.
"What do I need to fix? Am I blind somewhere?" Like everyone
I'm running
keeps saying
to
I'm
the
your mom. I'm
Botox
like,
place right now.
Stop.
No, that's the thing is the comments. Well, also, what am I talking about? I've never had to watch myself back on TV, or like I've only seen it for like a split second.
Yes.
Were you guys sitting there being like, oh my God, I didn't know my eye did that, or like my mouth moved like that, or
Yeah, my
da-da-da?
lip.
Yeah. Your
What?
lip?
My lip in every interview is crooked.
No.
When I talk, it like goes up. I'm like, do I talk out of one side of my mouth?
See that once
See,
again,
stuff you would only notice about
only
yourself.
You would notice.
No,
Only
now
yeah,
you guys all
notice.
watch it back. You're gonna be like, oh.
You're like, also, let's cut that part
You know
out.
what's
It's
funny?
funny. People watching it back.
One of our producers said to us, he was, I think after watching season 1, you guys won't eat on camera as much. You guys just like let it all out and like we're eating. And I guess that's a thing on TV. People like don't eat on camera. On
Oh, that's
shows.
probably why they had to cut so many scenes.
Yeah, 'cause we're just shoving our
were
faces.
scarfing. We were because
Really?
we don't
Yes.
drink, so we were like nervous eating.
I bet.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
gained like
God.
15 pounds filming.
Same.
No
Yeah,
way.
Yes.
No, it was bad. We were eating.
They had snacks every
constantly.
scene. So it was just like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Like the roller skating, we were just downing pizza.
Every scene,
Every
I swear,
scene,
I
I'm
just had like
sure.
a chipmunk cheek of pizza.
Right. You're like, yeah, there was so much stuff filmed, but like it didn't make it. Like me talking to
We were,
Whitney,
like,
like the
chewing
whole
too
time
loud.
you guys are eating.
Oh, now come to think of it, we were eating in that scene. That's why. Oh, no.
Lesson learned.
Yeah.
Which also, this is so wild. Like, I cannot think of another reality show where, for the most part, everyone is sober and not
Yeah.
drinking
For the
at
most
all.
part, yeah.
Yeah,
Me.
For the most part, right?
No, the fact that we had that much drama without alcohol is astonishing.
Yeah. That's
Is-
it's shocking and amazing.
Mhm.
Amazing.
An
Yeah.
anomaly, really.
Yeah.
It is.
It's why we're number 1 on Hulu, honestly.
Yeah. It
Because
just
we've
shows.
got the sauce. We've got the sauce.
You guys
I've
have
seen a
got
lot
the
of people
sauce.
saying that it's you wouldn't understand this, maybe you will, but it's like Vanderpump Rules season 1 because it was so unhinged back then. They were just living their lives, not caring, and I feel like we did the same thing. Like we just had our lives happening while cameras were there,
Yeah.
and we didn't really have an agenda going into it. We were just there to
a
be there.
million
Yeah.
percent
Well,
accurate.
some of us did, but
Yeah, maybe one.
most of us. 1 or 2.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
guys were so genuine, and it's like you can tell what's authentic, you know?
Yeah.
So I totally agree with that. Demi, Jessi, thank you so much for coming on. Where can everyone find you? Obviously on TikTok.
TikTok and Instagram, Demi Lucy May, Demi Lucy May _ on TikTok.
Love it. I am _ just Jessi with 4 eyes at the end. I don't know why, but I made it years
It's
ago.
what
So
it's what was available.
Exactly.
We've
I
all
love
been there.
4 eyes. That's
4
amazing.
eyes.
Thank you so much for coming on, you guys.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
Sleuths, I will talk to you next week. Bye.